Right, by now you probably all know of Ash, I'm literally a communist Sarkar. And you probably also know the friend of the channel, the anti-communist Konstantin Kisin. So these two had a massive debate on the concept of freedom and what it means and how it works and what could actually oppose freedom and everything else around the issue. And I listened to a few minutes of it, and I'm going to show you the couple of minutes of this debate because it actually becomes kind of hilarious how easily Konstantin wins this debate. But it's not really just about winning or losing. Obviously each debate is about winning or losing, but it's about learning things. It's about educating people or being educated. In this situation, Konstantin easily educated Ash. Let's listen to this together.
If I were to leap across the stage and tackle you to the ground, that would be an unacceptable curtailment of your freedom, right?
It's quite enjoyable though, but yeah.
Some people would pay very good money for it.
That's my point.
But let's say you were in a violent frenzy, you were chucking chairs around. It would be acceptable for me to curtail your freedom in order to prevent harm to others.
Yes.
Right. So let's take a more passive example. Let's say I have a fridge full of food and you are starving and I don't want to give it to you. Should we be able to curtail my property rights in order that you might have the right to live, the freedom to live?
So you want to take someone else's property in order to execute your belief in what should happen?
I'm saying you are starving and I've got a fridge full of food.
Yes.
And I don't want to give it to you. Should someone be able to make me give it to you?
No.
No, even though you would die.
Yes.
You would starve to death.
Yes, because I believe in property rights. Do you have a front door in your house?
I do have a front door.
There are people who are homeless. Why don't you let them into your home?
I would say that property rights can and should be curtailed in order that others might live.
So someone might freeze to death. Should they be forcefully entered into your home?
If someone was freezing to death at my door, I would have a moral duty to let them in.
A moral duty is a different thing. You're talking about compelling someone through violence. Right, you're threatening somebody with violence for not doing something you don't want done.
So it's always violent to compel someone to share things when they've got too much.
Compelling people requires violence, yeah.
But how can you meaningfully be free if you are starving to death? How can a hungry man meaningfully be said to have freedom?
I don't understand. What is the lack of freedom there?
If you're starving, how are you free?
If you're starving, how are you unfree?
Because you cannot exercise your freedoms, you cannot participate in a community of people, you cannot exercise your political rights because you are dying.
So freedom means being able to do things because other people have provided them for you. Is that what you mean?
I'm saying that freedom means that you are able to act on your human capacity for reason, for critical engagement, to participate in a political community, and you can't do that if
it's a very strange argument. As someone who slept in a park for weeks and did go hungry, I don't think I felt any less free. I was just hungry. These are different things.
You think that it's possible to participate as a meaningful political agent if you are on the verge of death?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, when I was going hungry and sleeping in a park, participating in the political system wasn't my main priority. But I didn't feel unfree. I felt poor and hungry and homeless. This is not connected to freedom in any way.
Well, let's
What you're talking about is you want to enforce on other people your wishes on how they should act in relation to property that they've accumulated, right? That's what you want the power to tell other people what to do with their property.
Absolutely spot on, Konstantin. It obviously is right. If you're homeless and hungry and starving, the last thing you're thinking about is, I need to go and conduct this debate about the economic model, and I need to go and vote for the SNP in the by-election. No. Priority. This is a classic issue that we have with privileged middle-class people in the West calling themselves communists or basically just socialists or whatever they are. And there are some sensible centre-left people. They're definitely also sensible socialist-leaning people. I still disagree with their ideology, but they're not as delusional as the others. The idea that you are living in a relatively stable country, relatively safe, relatively prosperous, and relatively democratic and free, this is what happens to a lot of people when they become bored middle classes. Because in the name of academia and becoming more intellectual, they try to find problems. They try to essentially exaggerate situations here, the issues that we have in our society today, and they are looking at the worst case scenario that's happened throughout history in the third world, for example, or in dictatorships, and they compare our situation to there. What's happened in Cuba, for example, in the past, they compare it to them. What happened in Russia under the Tsar, or even in Iran, or any other country. They will compare the hardship that they have because they can't pay for their mobile contract because they bought too many Starbucks coffees. They say this is basically at the level of oppression. It's the same thing as people had in Afghanistan in the 19th century. Are you kidding me with this? So the examples that they have is, someone's starving, they don't have freedom. That makes no sense, obviously. Because these people do not understand the meaning of hardship. These people don't understand the meaning of even freedom or democracy. As someone who was born in Iran and as someone who actually experienced both systems, a dictatorship and this, and actual poverty, I've experienced real poverty, I've experienced homelessness, I've experienced everything that these people claiming to be championing, but they don't understand any of it. They claim that they are on the side of the people, but it's only because they want to make themselves feel better about their own problems. These people are actually completely delusional. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.